Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I was wearing my blue light glasses to do some work today and I feel like they kind of fit the vibe. Also, I just bought the Kosas wet lip oil over the weekend. If you guys watched my Sunday vlog, I bought this at Sephora and I'm really liking it. So if you guys are wondering what is on the lips. Anyway, today we're going to be doing a March reading wrap up as well as all the books that I want to read in April. So this is just a mix of both, and then I also have my Kindle here. I was gonna make this into two separate videos doing all of the books that I read in March, but it was only 4 books because I had a really busy March. And then I feel like for my April reading, it's only gonna be like 6 or 7 books that I wanna read, not that much. So I was just like, you know what, let's combine both. So let's get right into it. I have to be honest with you guys, I filmed this video a few days ago and I was just talking without actually saying what the book was about. I was really just talking about my thoughts. So in this video, I am going to first talk about all of the books that I read in March, and I'm really happy because I read 4 books. That is the most books that I've ever read. I'm trying to get into my bookworm era. I'm obsessed with booktubers. I love Sarah Crowley, Destiny, Nikki's Book Nook, Haley Pham. Like, I love watching all of them, and I feel like since they're getting me back into reading, I also want to make my own videos about that. And yeah, so let's get started with the first book that I read, which was Magnolia Parks. I really liked Magnolia Parks, and this is a book you either love it or you hate it. It's about a toxic relationship between Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne, or aka Baxter James. And basically they start off the book already not being together. You go through their entire toxic relationship, why it doesn't really work, and while you're reading this, you're either gonna want them to be together so bad, or you are going to want them to not be together at all. And I am someone who, seeing how hard they fight for each other, but at the same time seeing the things that BJ does, like, I don't want her to be with him, which is why I was rooting so hard for Tom. And then the ending just had me like, the ending had me so confused and like happy, but also like, wait, like what is going on? Like, I had to watch a bunch of analysis like videos on the book and read a bunch of things online because I was like, why did it end the way that it ended? So overall, what did I give this book? I gave this book like a 4.5. I didn't give it a full 5 stars because although it was really good, I feel like BJ was just so annoying that I had to take off like that just little part of it being a 5-star because he is very annoying. One thing that I also really do like about this book is that I'm a fashion student. I go to FIT. I'm literally getting a fashion degree, and reading about the way that Jessa Hastings describes like the outfits and the fashion. Like, if you love fashion, if you love accessories, if you love brands, and like reading about all those little extra details, this book does a really good job of that. I'm ideally not someone who likes reading about all those little extra details, but the way that I almost said Tessa. The way that Jessa Hastings describes what they're wearing and little details like that is just so good. And I love all this style in this book. It's really good, super descriptive. There's always a lot going on. I feel like there's also a lot of drama in this book. The best way to describe this book is the cast of Gossip Girl, but in London with a Euphoria plotline. Like, there's drugs, there's alcohol, rich people that are all in one really big friend group, and they have really rich families that are in like the music industry, the entertainment industry, gangs, like all that kind of stuff, and they just travel. There's drama, there's things going on. The friend group all love Magnolia, but they're also like, BJ, why are you so annoying? Why can't you just get yourself together? So hopefully that does a good job of describing this. I also have a Goodreads account. I forgot to mention that. So if you guys want to follow my Goodreads, I'm always updating stuff on there. But overall, 4.5 out of 5. The next book that I read was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and I gave this book a 5-star. This was also a super quick read. I think I read this in like a day and a half, and guys, like, I loved this book so much. After reading Magnolia Parks, I was just like, I need a book that is giving me summer vibes. I live in New Jersey, so seeing the weather outside, it being March, it being gloomy, I was just like, I need a fun pick-me-up kind of book. So if you are in a reading slump, or maybe you don't know what kind of book to go for next, but you want just a quick, easy, fun romance, I think that this is especially it. This is not like a super like fun and games kind of book. It has emotion with it. It has like a lot of things that are gonna make you cry, and you are just gonna love this book so much. So I wrote a little description on my Notion book review template. I don't write reviews on Goodreads. I rarely do. I do have a Notion template on my computer where I put all of my reviews on there. I don't know if you guys can see. So I'm just gonna read you guys like what I wrote about what this book is about, because I don't want to butcher it and I want you guys to read it. This is a book about a girl named Persephone Fraser, aka Percy, and a guy named Sam. This book is based in Canada, and it is extremely similar to Love in Other Words. So if you read Love in Other Words, you are going to love this. This is like a better version of Love in Other Words. Percy's parents buy a summer home for her to have a chance to go to in the summer and get away from the city that they live in Canada. Percy gets there and she's hanging out at the dock one day. She hears two boys next door jumping into the water, and she's introduced to Charlie and Sam. And Charlie is the older brother, Sam is the younger brother. That is the main love interest. And Sam and Percy also happen to be the same age. So one night Charlie comes over, the mom isn't home, and he's like, hey, like, I'm having friends come over, I'm having like a little party, could you watch Sam for the night? And Sam is like, oh, I don't need her to watch me, like that's embarrassing. Percy's like, yeah, like I'll watch him, like watch him. But yeah, I think the story starts when they're like 13 or 14, and then it goes over the course of like 6 and 7 years of them like growing up and being at the summer house together. And ever since that day where Sam and Percy hang out in her room, they are just inseparable every single summer until then. Charlie, which is the older brother, calls Percy one day, and this is when she's already an adult. She's moved out, she's living in the city, she's living her own life, she has her job, and Charlie is like, something happened, you need to come back, you know, we would love for you to be here, you know, you meant a lot to us and you still do. And she finds out about this emergency. She's like, okay, yeah, like I definitely need to come back. She goes and she sees Sam again now that he's older, and they both realize that, are the feelings still there, are they not, could it work now, why didn't it work before? You know, like you just get to learn a lot about the childhood. And when I was reading Love in Other Words, I was a little bit bored at some points in the story. I still gave it like 4.5 because it was really good, but I feel like with this you really get to understand and see the development of their relationship and their friendship over time, and see like how they were teenagers and then they grew up, and you know, feelings and all that stuff. Like it was just so good. And this book definitely has a lot of little emotional points that are gonna make you really sad. And overall, I know that I'm gonna be rereading this again this year, maybe in the summer, because it is just such good vibes. And I overall cannot, like, I was thinking about this book for so long. Days after, I was like, I love Sam so much. And truly, if you want a book to get you back into reading, I think this would definitely be it. Some other tropes is small town romance, young love, childhood friends to strangers, and then lovers kind of again. There's second chance romance, forgiveness, dual timeline, and there's a lot of angst and spice in this book. The spices are really good, so if you guys are a spice girl like me, yeah, you're gonna want to read this. As for the last two books that I read in March, it was from the off-campus series. This is the first one, and then this is the second book. I'm taking a mini break right now, and I will explain when I start my April reads. This is the deal. I'm not a fan of covers like this just because I commute to school, so I'm on like 3 different trains. I'm reading in class, I'm reading on my way to school, reading on my way back, and when I see books with this cover, like I'm embarrassed to read this on the train, because I know someone's definitely thinking like,
why is that girl reading a book with a girl literally sitting in underwear
on her bed? Anyway, so these books are both from Elle Kennedy, and I've never read an Elle Kennedy book before until this one, but I've heard so many people talking about the off-campus series. Also a dual timeline, and it is basically about a girl named Hannah Wells and a guy named Garrett. Garrett is on the hockey team. This is a hockey sports romance. I think the entire off-campus series is hockey romance, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a group of hockey players that go to Briar University, or Briar U, you. In this book, Garrett needs to pass this exam that he failed in order to keep playing in all of the hockey games that are coming up. And Hannah bumps into him in the hallway one day. She drops her papers. He sees that she got an A minus, or like an A on the exam that he just failed. And he's like, listen, you know who I am. Like, he's a little bit of a cocky guy. And he's like, you need to tutor me because I need to be able to play in the upcoming hockey games and I can't sit out this season. Like, my dad is Phil Graham, and in this book, Phil Graham is like the biggest hockey player in the world or whatever. Like, everybody who plays hockey fantasizes about him and is like, he is everything. Like, he is the king of hockey. And he's like, yeah, like, I can't let my dad down. I can't let my team down. I'm like the captain. And she's like, no, like, I'm not gonna tutor you. And she plays super hard to get. And then one day, I think they bump into each other again, and he sees that she is swooning over this guy. She has a crush on this guy that's in their class. And he's like, you know what? I know you like him, and I'm super popular and you're not. So why don't we make a deal and see if this guy will like you, you know, kind of like a little fake dating thing. And you guys know what happens in fake dating tropes, fake dating books. It doesn't always end how it's supposed to end. So throughout this book, they make this deal, and you just see the progression of their friendship. And in exchange for Hannah tutoring Garrett, he is like, we're gonna do this little fake dating thing, and you'll get the guy that you like. I'll be able to play on my hockey team. It's not as easy as how it sounds, obviously, because it is gonna be, there's gonna be a little bit of drama and stuff in this book. The only thing that I will say is that the third eye conflict that happens more towards the end, I wasn't a big fan of. And that's why I think I give this book like a 4.5 out of 5. It was still a really good book. I liked the premise of it, and I really liked how Elle Kennedy didn't make Hannah just immediately drop everything to tutor Garrett, all because he was like the star hockey player and all these girls want to get with him. Like, I really like that Hannah kept her guard up and she wasn't immediately like drawn to tutoring him just because he's so popular. Because of that, I kept rating it higher, because I really like girls that they play a little bit hard to get, because it can be really boring when you read about a girl that just immediately is like, yeah, like, you're hot and you're popular, like, I'm gonna drop everything for you. It's like, no, like, can we get a little bit of work? The spice is also really good in this book. Elle Kennedy does a really good job at writing that. There's a lot of angst, and you don't really get a lot out of these two until more than halfway, I think, if I remember correctly. But other than that, really good. This is a really good series, and I'm excited to finish the rest of them. Now we are on to the last book in March, and as well as the series that I started reading, and it is The Mistake, also by Elle Kennedy. This is the second book in the Off-Campus series, and I also really enjoyed this. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked this one a little bit better than The Deal. I still rated this a 4.5 out of 5 though, just because 5-star read for me, there needs to be just a little bit of like, there was just something that I was still looking for in this book when I finished. It was really good. I also finished this, I think, in like 2 days, and it's a super short, easy read. What I liked about this is that there was a lot of drama happening between Logan and his family life, and there's just something about family life that is very personal to me and speaks a lot. So when I was reading about Logan and what he went through in his childhood and everything that happened, I was just like, a lot of it was hitting close to home. That's all I'm gonna say. But this book is about John Logan. They call him Logan throughout the book, and Grace. So Grace is a freshman when we start this book. Logan is a junior, and they hook up at a party. This was where in the book I got really bored, because the hookup happens literally like 30 pages into the book, and I am someone who, when that happens right away, I get so disinterested in the rest of the book, because it's like, okay, the hookup already happened, you already got that little spice, you already got that angst over with. And then now it's like, okay, what else are we going to talk about? But that's the premise of the book, and you can literally see it on the back of the book when you read it. It says she's not a charity case, and she's not the quiet butterfly she was when they first hooked up. And he does something that pushes her away, and he's like, I want a second chance. So Obviously you get the gist right away that there is a hookup and something happens. Logan does something during the hookup that makes Grace just be like, stay away from me, like I don't want anything to do with you. She just stops texting him, stops answering him, and I definitely would recommend looking up trigger warnings before you read this book, because there's a lot of things that happen again in their lives, and specifically like Logan's childhood and then like Grace's life, that have happened to them that kind of make them who they are, like a little bit standoffish, and they just do their own thing. But Logan is such a sweetheart, and he really does anything and everything to get her to want to be with him and trying to win her back after what happened. So even though that happens 30 pages in, I was so close to DNFing this book, because I was like, yeah, 100 pages in, I'm not really interested in anything else that's gonna happen. Like, I'm really glad that I did not push off this book, because it was really good, and the ending, it was exactly what I wanted. And I'm really surprised that March was such a good reading month for me. So if you guys want to read any of these books, I'm also going to be linking them below. They're also on my Goodreads. And now let's get started into the April reads portion of this video. I have a few books in front of me as well as my Kindle, so let me explain it really quickly. I'm in like a really weird mood for April. When I started reading, I was like, no, like romance are the only books that I'm gonna read. I'm never gonna read anything else. Like, I'm a romance girly through and through. But after reading 4-ish romance books all like back to back, I am like kind of sick of romance right now, and I never thought that I would say that, but I just don't want to read a book about real people, if that makes sense. Like, I really want to read a thriller or more of a fantasy book this month. So yeah, that really explains like what I'm going through. Let me pull up my Notion template. I did write down my TBR of books that I don't physically have with me on there. So first I'll start with the books that I have. I started Daisy Hates right after I finished The Mistake. As you can see, I literally have my bookmark in here. I only got to page 55 and I was like, I can't do this. I don't really want to read about gangs and Daisy Hates' life right now. As much as I loved Magnolia Parks had so much drama and things going on, and BJ was just in love with her and chasing after her throughout the entire book. There was a really good mix of romance and drama. Just Magnolia Parks was so good. And with this, it is about Daisy Hates and Christian, and we see both of them in the Magnolia Parks book. You kind of don't really get a good feel for Daisy. Like, in that book, you just see her as like the annoying, standoffish girl that's just like, yeah, no, like I don't want anything to do with Magnolia. She's so annoying, and like I just want to be a Christian. And like, you get like not good vibes from her in there. So I heard that in this book you kind of see why she's like that, and I was excited to learn about that. But I am just really bored reading this. There's a lot of description, there's a lot going on, and like I said, I don't really want to read a romance right now. So this, I'm definitely going to be reading it more towards the end of the month, or after I finish a few other books first. Next though on the TBR list is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I've never read this book, and if you guys did not watch my Sunday vlog, which I just posted a few days ago, my boyfriend picked 3 books for me that I'm going to be reading in April, so I have them here, and these were one of the books that he picked out. I'm really excited because a lot of people have read this book, so I'm really excited. My boyfriend literally just picked it up because he was like, yeah, I like the cover and it says Book Lovers and you would like that. So that is what he picked for me, and it just says in the back, one summer, 2 rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. So that does sound kind of cool. I love little colorful covers like this, so I'm very excited about that. The next book that my boyfriend picked out for me was The Origins of You. This is not a book that I would normally go for when I'm at Barnes & Noble or when I'm on Goodreads and reading through books, and this is not one of the books either that a lot of the people that I watch talk about, but it is written by a licensed marriage and family therapist. And like I said before, The Mistake really spoke to me because there was a lot of like family stuff going on. So my boyfriend was like, you know what, I feel like this would be a good book for you, and it's called How Breaking Family Patterns Can Liberate the Way We Live and Love. It also says it doesn't matter whether you've been in therapy for decades or whether therapy isn't for you. It doesn't matter if you had a great childhood or a terrible one. You can create change and resolve things from the past that need your attention. So I really like that, and I'm excited to read this. I'm glad that he actually picked this for me because like I said, this is not something that I would normally go for, but the fact that he was like, yeah, like try this out, see it. It's about about, you know, breaking patterns and more personal development. So I'm very excited. I'm not a personal development girly when it comes to these kinds of books because I read one a few months ago, or last year I read it, and it was not good. It had me so bored. So hopefully this one is good. It's also a pretty short read and it's hardcover. I haven't picked up a hardcover book in a while, so I like this. I like this cover too a lot. The last book that my boyfriend picked up for me was Good Girl Complex, also by Elle Kennedy. Totally surprised that he picked this one up. I did start reading it and then I'm going to explain why. I'm literally on page 3. Legit, my bookmark is on page 3. And this was when I was like, yeah, I cannot read any more romance books. My boyfriend doesn't know that I was reading Elle Kennedy before. So when he picked this up, I was excited because I was like, yeah, I definitely want to read another Elle Kennedy book that's not in the off-campus series because I don't want to get right into off-campus again. Like I said, I just need a break from that, but this book is really cute and the back review says a deliciously sexy story with a wallop of emotions that sneak up on you. So that sounds pretty good. And when I was 3 pages in, I just was like, I can't do this. I don't want to read another romance. I'm kind of sick of romance right now, like I truly am. So last night, I have my Kindle. I haven't showed you guys my Kindle in a while. This is my little Yoda, baby Yoda pop socket. It's so cute. And then this is my Kindle cover. So last night I started reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I'm really excited because I don't know much about this book. All I know is that a lot of people talk about it. I think that this is like a good start to get into fantasy. It was either this or The Cruel Prince because The Cruel Prince is also YA, and reading YA is a good way to get into fantasy because it's a lot of world building, it's a lot of thinking, and that's why I didn't want to get into fantasy when I first started reading because I was like, yeah, I don't want to read things that require a lot of thinking. I just want a quick, fun, easy read like every summer after reading these for so long. I'm like, I kind of want to read something a little bit different and be a little bit challenged. So that is what I'm reading right now on my Kindle. And then I also want to read Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney, also on my Kindle. So my goal for this month is to read 4 books that are in like on this paperback version, and then I also want to read 2 books that are on my Kindle because I miss reading on my Kindle. I feel like maybe that's another reason why I'm kind of bored of reading the physical books and I want to switch it up a little bit. That is all of the books that I want to read for this month. I'm very excited and I hope that I'm able to push through all of these. Like I said, I definitely am going to get through the 3 books that my boyfriend gave me, well, that he like picked out for me at Barnes & Noble. Daisy Hates, I really don't know if I'm going to get through that for this month. I'm hoping that after I read a fantasy and a thriller, I will be able to push through. But let me know if there's any other books that you guys want me to read. I also want to keep posting more book videos because I love booktubers and I want to be like in that world so bad. And now that I'm actually reading a little bit more, I feel like this is a good little segue to get started. So thank you guys so much for watching. And if there are, like I said, any books or series that you want me to try and read, or if there's any recommendations you guys have for me, definitely let me know. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and follow all my other social medias, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!